Gopijanavalabha Girivardhari Gopijanavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajaranandana Yashodanandana Rajajaranandana Nativa Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Vijanavalabha Girivardhari Vijanavalabha Girivardhari Shodanandana Rajajanandana Yashodanandana Rajajanandana Nativa Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha Ramasundara Ramasundara. Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Nitya Go Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Nitya Go Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Abhachan Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Iskan Pramacharya Divange Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Yogi Shri Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Sutra Sudashri Shri Divange, Shri Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Anand Guru Vaishnava ki jai, Namacharya Shri Vilas Thakur ki jai, Prince Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaura Bhakti ki jai, Shri Shiva Hare Krishna Gopal Shyam Radha Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Mayapur Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavan ki jai, Vandarajman Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories to the simple devotees. All glories, Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to the Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna and welcome to all the wonderful devotees online. Thank you very much for your association and enthusiasm to continue associating with Srimad Bhagavatam every week. Today we are covering Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 5, verses 23 to 31. Srila Prabhupada is going to give us, these purports to these verses are extremely important for us as sadhakas. So let us cover the Mangalachan prayers. Om Jnana Timivandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Amvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Vada Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Viyusha Sarva Vedika Satpala Sarva Siddhantaratmadya Sarva Lokai Triprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavato Prabhu Kali Dando Didaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most common transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O light breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna, who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshashrayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer respectful obeisances unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madhika Bandha Mat Sangin Mad Guru Man Mahadana Man Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Asadu Sadhu Tadai Natti Nichochataraka Hanamuncha Kada Chinmam Premna Ritkatiyos Pura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O giver of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifted very fallen, please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma Truth, accompanied by pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratas charte swabhigna swarat tene brahma hidaya adikavaye muyanti yatsuraya Tejo varimridam yata vinimayo yatrati sargom risha. Damna svena sada nirastakukam satyam param dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, all pervading personality of Godhead, offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destructions of the manifest universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by illusory representation of what is seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Prayanopayasha sabhya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya upadrita. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, many but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayanam namaskritya narochevam narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savai pumsa parodharma yatho bhakti radho kshaje ahoitya pratyata yayatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service under the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted, completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatya Suvairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahoitikam. By rendering devotional service under the personality of God, Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Vadanti tattvavidas tattvam yajgnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Shushrushroshardhanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing messages of Vasudeva. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridantustoya Badrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and a benefactor, the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayashu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the class on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service under the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So let us cover any feedback you have from verses 17 to 22 that we covered last week. You are most welcome to unmute if you want to share, or you can type in the chat. Amavati Radhika says, never judge a devotee fall down. Keep doors open. How we hypnotized by Krishna's beauty and footprints in the sand. Nalinikanta says, destiny is fixed. Destiny is fixed up, so don't endeavor for happiness and be in the rat race. Use intelligence to be Krishna conscious and surrender to Krishna. Yes. I always give the example that we have betrayed Krishna's love, not in one life, not in 2 lives, not in 3, not in 10, not in a million, in millions. At least 8.4 million lives minimum. We've betrayed Krishna's love. Yet Krishna still never holds a grudge, and Krishna's ready to forgive us and embrace and accept us. So if Krishna is willing to do that for us, then we should be open to forgiving anyone else. Mother Lash says, the greatest aspiration of an intelligent philosophical man should be to strive for something that is not in this material universe. And that is pure love for Krishna, glorification of the Supreme Lord. That means susumedasa, that person is intelligent. Srila Prabhupada, Shamananda Prabhu says, Srila Prabhupada is saying we should not waste time with these flimsy things. What's due to you will come without any endeavor. Material nature will make the arrangements, and you'll be inspired to do the needful in terms of endeavor to get what you deserve. And we're going to touch on a little in the beginning on this aspect of karma as well. Krishna Devidas says, Hare Krishna, the result of bhakti are permanent as compared to material activities. Don't endeavor for material aspiration. You will get what's due to you. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't endeavor. Yes, we endeavor, but we should not over endeavor. And over endeavor means at the cost of your spiritual practice. Your spiritual practice should come first, and then we should try to do whatever we have to do to maintain body and soul together. And if it means that we have to do some occupation to maintain the body and soul together, then we do that with the view that this is all for my devotional practice. And when you have that perspective, then your material work is no more material. It is devotional service. And the experience will not be material. The experience will be spiritual. Bhagavatam Prabhu says, Lord Chaitanya and his subsequent followers exhibited dexterity in Srimad Bhagavatam to inject into dull brains of materialistic persons. Yes. Srila Prabhupada was expert, the acharyas were expert to inject this wisdom into my tiny brain. Mother Les says, credits that one gets from performing bhakti is eternally credited into your spiritual account. Wonderful. Thank you very much for everyone's response. Hemavati says, uncongenial and undesirable association is root cause of fall down. And today we're going to be covering what is this congenial desirable association. Bhagavatam Prabhu says, engage in devotional service to the Lord, not with temporary sentiment, otherwise one can fall down like Bharat Maharaj. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much for participating and sharing what you remembered. So today we're going to be covering verses 23 to 31. We're going to be hearing about services to the Bhaktivedanta, the 14 stages in devotion, and Narad Muni's example. Narad Muni in the previous verse said to Srila Vyasadeva that all our activities, whether it's austerity, whether it's charity, whatever we do in this world, everything should be for the purpose of glorifying the Supreme Lord. And that was a very important instruction. Srila Prabhupada expanded the purport that all our activities, if it's not directed towards glorification of Krishna, if Krishna is not glorified, then those activities are simply a waste of time. Therefore, in all our actions, we should endeavor to put Krishna in the forefront. If we see Srila Prabhupada's glorious achievements, he did so much putting Krishna in the forefront, keeping himself at the back. Why? Because he was broadcasting his love for Krishna. And he knows that everyone, like the Acharyas, like Narad Muni, they know that everyone is searching for Krishna. So therefore, they put Krishna in front. And now Narad Muni, after saying that instruction and emphasizing the point of glorifying Krishna, process of bhakti, now he's going to give a case study. And that case study is his own case study. He's going to share his own personal life as an example of the glories of Krishna Katha. Before we go into the life story of Narad Muni, just to recap in this on this principle of, or the law of karma that we covered last week. There are many facets to this law of karma in terms of the type of karma, how karma is fructifying in this world, etc. We're not going to go into the details, but just to give you 4 categories which are mentioned in the Upanishads in terms of karma, so that we understand in relation to Mother Lash's question about past action and reaction and current action and reaction. So there's 4 categories of karma. The first one is called Sanchit karma. This is like your bank account karma. It is a sum total of all good and bad karma from many of our past lives. Every moment of our life, we are adding or reducing our Sanchit karma depending on our actions. The result of Sanchit karma are waiting to be completed in this life or in further lives. Until this Sanchit karma is 0, we will have to take birth again and again. So this is our karmic bank account. As long as there's something in this karmic bank account, we will need another body to burn that karma. We get another body, but unfortunately, because we don't know how to act to nullify, to make this bank account 0, we keep adding to this bank account. And in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, very clearly, it said, by engaging in devotional service, we not only are not adding to this account, but we're also burning this account. So devotional service, the practice of Krishna consciousness is so glorious that it's allowing us to stop taking birth again by reducing our Sanchit karma to 0. Depending on our practice, and we'll see in Narad Muni's case, he was able to burn out all his karma. And by following in the footsteps of Narad Muni, we can achieve the same. Prarabdha karma, it is that portion of Sanchit karma from that bank account which is destined to act in this life. This can be seen from one's horoscope at the time of birth. So this is Prarabdha karma. For example, this body is Prarabdha karma. You're going to, it's manifested in this life, and you'll have to live with it until the end of this life. Okay, so it's Prarabdha, manifested karma. So this is that type of karma. Then there's Kriyamana karma. Kriyamana karma, it is the daily and instant karma that we create through our good and bad actions in day-to-day life. Like Mother Les said, if I put my hand in fire, do I get burnt? So is that dictated from my past or what? So that type of action reaction falls into Kriyamana karma. Kriya means like activities. So that's one portion of the karma. This contributes to our Sanchit karma. So remember, every action reaction is added to Sanchit karma. This Kriyamana karma can either act in this life or in future lifetimes. If 2 people steal, one might get caught immediately and the other might get his punishment in the future birth. This is Kriyamana karma, the new karma that we create daily with our actions and choices. Okay? So this category of karma can either be delivered immediately in this life or next life. Who dictates that? The law of karma, Krishna's arrangement, the demigods. This is all under supervision of the higher personality, higher beings. Then agami karma. So agami karma, the karma that we create in this birth for getting results in future birth is agami karma, okay, which gets added to the sanchit karma. So the agami karma is always for future. The kriyamana can be dictated according to time, place, circumstance, and according to how the law of karma see fits, either delivered this life or future life. Prarabdha karma is what you're going to get in this life, and you get it. It's destined, that you can see on a horoscope, and that's what we generally call destiny. So all your prarabdha karma is called destiny. Now, your prarabdha karma, destined karma, can also, even the karma can be delivered, but then the intensity of that karma in terms of happiness and distress can also fluctuate according to how we live or how we follow the principles of dharma in terms of carrying out those actions. So I hope that gave a little more clarification in terms of the 4 types of karma. So verse 23 starts off with service to the Bhaktivedantas. So here's a question for you all. If the Lord appeared in front of you now, what would you ask for? If the Lord appeared right in front of you at this very moment, what would you ask for? Please share in the chat. And there is no right and wrong answer. Lash, his service life after life. Nice. Any others? You can also unmute yourself if you want. Mother Krishna Devidas says, opportunity to continue to more service. Good. Bafana, to engage in devotional loving service unconditionally, unadulterated. Wonderful. Shamananda Prabhu says, will ask for empowerment to distribute Prabhupada's books in this life and future ones in the millions. Wonderful. We bless you. Although Prabhupada says, Prabhupada told one disciple told Srila Prabhupada, I like to come again next life to keep distributing your books. Prabhupada said, don't take the chance. But yes, if that desire is there, then wherever you go, Srila Prabhupada will empower you to continue serving him in that capacity. Amabati says to always be engaged in loving devotional service, to always remember him, Srila Prabhupada, the Guru, and never forget them. Wonderful. And Mother Ratnavali says to remember him, Ratnavali Gopi. I think if I got your name correctly. To remember him always. Wonderful. And Rasastali says to never leave his lotus feet. All right. Wonderful. So they're not wrong. And Mother Kalpana says that ask for the lotus feet forever, for the Lord's lotus feet forever. Good. So here's Dhruva Maharaj's answer. Dhruva Maharaj had the experience of the Lord coming right in front of him. And this is what Dhruva Maharaj asked in the 4th canto, chapter 9, verse 11. Dhruva Maharaj continued, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in your transcendental loving service constantly. As the wave of a river constantly flows, such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotional service, I shall surely be able to cross the nectarian ocean of material existence, which is filled with the waves of blazing fire-like dangers. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes, which are eternally existent. So the Lord is in front of him, yet he's asking for the blessing so that he may associate with great devotees. And Prabhupada in the purports makes few statements. Transcendental devotional service cannot be complete and cannot be relishable without the association of devotees. Only in the association of pure devotees can the words of Lord Krishna be fully potent and relishable to the heart and ear. Devotional service in association of devotees is the cause of development of further devotional service. So this desire, this need for association, which Narad Muni is going to receive, is going to receive the association of the Bhakti Vedantas. This is very important. And Prabhupada created this institution called ISKCON for this purpose, to give a pure association, to give great devotee association to everyone. It is not just a weekday out. We're going to, it's like an outing, or I don't need to cook today. Let me just go to the temple. Right? So it's not just an outing, but it's a very important service for the Vaishnav community. In association, when we get powerful, wonderful, congenial, desired, devotional association, what happens? When we get the Bhaktivedanta association, those who know that the end of knowledge is bhakti, they are called Bhaktivedantas. When those souls, when one contacts those souls, what happens? Three things. There's a spiritual discussion, there's knowledge transmission, and there's heart transformation. When Narad Muni met many souls, Mugrari the hunter, Valmiki, when he meets these souls, these three things happen. There's spiritual discussion, there's knowledge transmission, and then there's heart transformation. So text 23. Aham puratita bhave bhavam mune dasyastu kasya chana vedavadinam nirupito balaka eva yoginam shushrusane pravishri nirviviksatam. O Muni, in my past life, in the last millennium, I was born as a son of a maidservant, engaged in the service of the Brahmanas who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 months of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service. So now Narad Muni is introducing his past life in the last millennium. So in his past life, we'll start before his past life. So at the time of creation, this is described in Garga Samhita, Srimati Radharani is asking Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna is sharing the life of Narad Muni. So at the time of creation, we know Lord Brahma is born from the lotus of Mahavishnu. And then Lord Brahma, we're going to hear about Lord Brahma's creation in Canto 2, Canto 3. When Lord Brahma creates, he creates 10 sons. One of the sons that he creates from his mind is Narad Muni. And Narad Muni is a great devotee of the Lord. He has great attachment to sing the glories of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And he travels and he sings. So one day, Lord Brahma came to Narad Muni and told Narad Muni that he should stop, going around traveling and singing. He should settle down and increase population for the creation. And Narad Muni said, I'm not interested in getting entangled, children, that's entanglement and unnecessary trouble. I'm simply going to glorify the Supreme Lord and sing and dance. I'm not interested in procreation. And Lord Brahma got upset. And Lord Brahma said, so you just want to sing and dance? I curse you to become a Gandharva. A Gandharva is a heavenly being that stays in the heavenly planets that sing and dance. So Narad Muni became the leader of all the Gandharvas, called Upabarhana. And as a Gandharva, naturally, he was interested in singing, but because he was cursed to become a Gandharva, he wasn't singing devotional songs anymore. Now he was being very frivolous with lots of girls, heavenly damsels, and singing non-Krishna conscious songs. Prabhupada in the purport says cinema songs. So then the Prajapatis did arrange a Sankirtan festival. And all the demigods arrived for the Sankirtan festival, glorification of the Supreme Lord. And Upabarhana, he also arrived with his damsels to the Sankirtan festivals. And it is described that he was in the Sankirtan Kirtan thinking about his girlfriends and singing cinema songs. And the Prajapatis got very upset. So it's described that he got cursed again, that you're acting like a Sudra. How can you come and contaminate the place like this? You're acting like a Sudra, you become a Sudra. So then he became cursed to become a Sudra and became a maidservant. And there's also a pastime that as Narad Muni, before he became expert at playing the veena, he didn't have the veena, and he would travel around singing at the wrong time, singing the wrong ragas, etc. And in this way, the ragas, who are personalities, were becoming deformed. They were great, they were heavenly dams, the heavenly beings, beautiful faces, but each one either lost an arm, lost a knee, lost a leg, lost a hand. They were becoming deformed. So when Narad Muni saw this, he was surprised, and he asked them, what's the cause of this deformation? And they said, there's this Narad Muni, and he's singing, the wrong music at the wrong time with the wrong rhythm, and this is how we, the ragas, are getting deformed. So then Narad Muni said, how can we free you from this? And they said, you please go and get the blessings of Mother Saraswati. So Narad Muni goes and performs austerity for Mother Saraswati, and he pleases Mother Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati. She comes, gives her blessings and bestows her blessings upon Narad Muni. And she gave Narad Muni this veena called Devadatta, which was decorated with spiritual sounds. And in fact, it's described there like 550 or 500 all million different, ragas and beats and like in music terminology. And she taught him all this, perfectly, and he learned. And this is how Narad Muni became like the chief musicians amidst the devotees of the Lord. And he travels with this special veena that he got from Mother Saraswati, and that's Narad Muni. So when the sages, when Prajapatis cursed him to become a Sudra, then this is where Narad Muni is saying that my previous life I was a sign of a maidservant. I was a son of a maidservant. Prabhupada in the purport says, the wonder of an atmosphere surcharged with devotional service to the Lord is briefly described herein by Sri Narad Muni. He was the son of the most in the service of the Lord. He became an immortal sage. So as we said, these purports that Prabhupada is going to be covering are extremely important. If my internet is saying it's unstable, if it cuts out or something, just stay online. If it stay online, we will reconnect. So these purports are extremely important. Why? Because Narad Muni is going to be covering his life from being born in an unfortunate situation as a Sudra with no qualification, and he's going to achieve the position of Narad Muni in one life. And the qualities, the characteristics that Narad Muni imbibed and practiced, if we can follow and also imbibe those qualities, we can also achieve the same. So the purports are important for us if we act on them. So here's the first statement Prabhupada makes, which is extremely important, because his complete energy was engaged in the service of the Lord, he became an immortal sage. If we use all our energies, which are given to us in the first place by the Supreme Lord, nothing belongs to us. Our mind, body, all our senses, everything belongs to Krishna. Our intelligence, the facilities that we are given belongs to Krishna. So if we use all that in the service of Krishna, we become immortal. Such is the powerful action of devotional service. The living entities are marginal energy of the Lord, and therefore they are meant for being properly utilized in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. When this is not done, one situation is called Maya. Therefore, the illusion of Maya is at once dissipated as soon as one's full energy is converted in the service of the Lord instead of in sense enjoyment. So our energy can be deployed either for sense enjoyment or for the pleasure of Krishna. We have to decide. And in this way, I can see if I'm Krishna conscious. So if I want to be Krishna conscious in my life, I need to make sure that my whole life, all my energy is deployed for the pleasure of Krishna. But my life is made of years. So I can see that if I see that every year I use all my energy for Krishna, I can perfect my life. Each year is made of months. So if I see that, if I deploy all my months in the service of Krishna, I can become a pure devotee. Each month is made of days. If I employ each day in the service of Krishna, I can become perfect. Each day is made of hours, and each hour is made of minutes. Each minute is made of a second, which means that every second, if I use my energies every second for the pleasure of Krishna, my mind, my body, my words, my intelligence, everything that I have received, if I use that every second in the service of Krishna, then I can become immortal, I can become perfect. From the personal example of Sri Narad Muni, in his previous birth, it is clear that the service of the Lord begins with the service of the Lord's bona fide servants. Now Prabhupada is introducing this link. Okay, I need to serve Krishna. So how do I serve Krishna? I don't know who the Supreme Lord is. I never met him. How do I serve him? So it starts by the service of the Lord's bona fide servants. Note Prabhupada uses the word bona fide servants. The Lord says that the service of his servants is greater than his personal service. The Lord says that the service of his servants is greater than his personal service. You'll find a statement many, many times made by the Lord himself. One who says is my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says is my devotee, as devotee is devotee, is my devotee. And therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that our identity is dasanu, dasanu, das. We are the servants of the servants of the servant. When we develop this desire to serve other devotees, then this pleases the Supreme Lord greatly. This is the greatest service one can render. Service of a devotee is more valuable than the service of the Lord. One should therefore choose a bona fide servant of the Lord, constantly engaged in his service, accept such a servant as the spiritual master, and engage him self in his spiritual master's service. Such a spiritual master is the transparent medium by which to visualize the Lord, who is beyond the conception of the material senses. By service of the bona fide spiritual master, the Lord consents to reveal himself in proportion to the service rendered. Now here it is important, and if you went through the series that we're currently doing in Mauritius called Srila Prabhupada, the Founder Acharya, and in the first series I presented this concept of ISKCON as a company, with Srila Prabhupada as the managing director of the company, or the CEO of the company. It is important that everyone that comes to the society, first and foremost, establishes their relationship with Srila Prabhupada first and foremost. Not directly with the Guru, not directly with any other devotee, even though they may be introduced to a devotee within this movement, but our first relationship must be strongly established with Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada is the delivering Acharya. Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya. Srila Prabhupada is the preeminent teacher, Shiksha Guru for everyone. He's the foundation. That foundation needs to be built. Srila Prabhupada's protection needs to be first and foremost above us in terms of an umbrella, protective umbrella. Then we can start serving other devotees. So it's key and it's important. If that is not done, we will always have difficulties going forward in our spiritual journey. Srila Prabhupada also makes the point of purpose by serving. So in this case, I can say by serving Srila Prabhupada, the Lord consents to reveal himself in proportion to the service rendered. We can try to now focus on Prabhupada and try to serve Srila Prabhupada in different ways according to our capacities to please him. And Prabhupada is not bound by time, place, circumstance, geographical situations. Every day we can strengthen a relationship and serve Srila Prabhupada, and to the degree, to the portion of that service, Krishna will reveal. Also by establishing a relation with Srila Prabhupada, then his blessings are there. Utilization of human energy in the service of the Lord is the progressive path of salvation. The whole cosmic creation becomes at once identical with the Lord as soon as service in relation with the Lord is rendered under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. The expert spiritual master knows the art of utilizing everything to glorify the Lord, and therefore under his guidance, the whole world can be turned into the spiritual abode by the divine grace of the Lord's servant. So our guidance, everything that Srila Prabhupada wants us to have, perfect our spiritual journey, is in his Bhaktivedanta purpose. Prabhupada said, everything you need is in my books. So we should understand what's in his books, apply that in our life, serve Srila Prabhupada, and that way we can then extend that service to other members of the society and the souls that come into the society, and in this way perfect our life. In 1967, Mother Yamuna had a dream, and she, when she met Srila Prabhupada, then she told Srila Prabhupada the dream. And in this dream, she told Srila Prabhupada that she saw the whole world having Sankirtan, congregational chanting. The whole world was chanting and dancing. And Prabhupada was seated on a huge dais. After the kirtan, the whole world was chanting. After the kirtan, Prabhupada began to chant the Premadhwani prayers, Jom Vishnupad Parahamsa, and the whole world was bowing down. And when the whole world was bowing down, Srila Prabhupada said, now my Guru Maharaj is satisfied. So this was Srila Prabhupada's vision. This was his Guru Maharaj's vision, that until the whole world does not become Krishna conscious, they will be in anxiety. This was also the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he wants to distribute these fruits of love of Krishna to every soul. So we have plenty service in trying to help Srila Prabhupada achieve this dream and desire in service to his spiritual master and the disciplic succession. Becoming perfect. Prabhupada, simply by doing this little service to Yoginam, he was so blessed. So this is from a lecture, 1523, Vrindavan, August 4th, 1974. Nirupita Balaka Eva Yoginam. I was appointed a boy servant of the devotees. The importance is that the devotee is so important that if anyone renders a little service, that he becomes elated, he becomes elevated to the spiritual life. What Balaka? Balaka means there was a boy. You boy, bring, so the Prabhupada is giving an example. You boy, bring this, do this, just wash my cloth, or just set up my bedding, like that. This much servant, or wash this dish. So the devotional service is so powerful. By doing this, this will be described later on, that simply by doing this little service to the Yoginam, he was so blessed that next life he became Narada. This point is a very important point that is being explained. So we should never underestimate devotional service. Somebody coming to the temple, engaging them in devotional service, we getting some service. When we pray to, when we glorify Tulsi Devi in the morning, we ask Tulsi Devi, please give me the privilege of devotional service. It's a privilege. It's extremely rare. It's extremely glorious. Any menial service, any form of service, because every service is devotional service. In spiritual life, one is free to move. Another point is that when one is situated, and Narada, life after this life, he became situated in his spiritual life. In spiritual life, therefore, he was able to go anywhere. Narada is traveling all over the universe, not only within this material world, in the spiritual also. He goes to see Narayan in the spiritual world. So this is one point, that in spiritual life, one is free to move. There is no requisition of this airplane. And Prabhupada is simply giving the opportunity to serve. There was no question of preaching. Simply giving the opportunity to serve, the fallen souls become delivered. But you must be competent, not to take service for nothing. Then you'll go to hell. If you're actually in spiritual position, then by giving others little opportunity to serve you, he'll be delivered. No question of understanding the philosophy. A devotee must be so perfect. The system is therefore, as soon as one sees a devotee, he falls down and touch the feet. This is the system. Because by touching the feet, Mahat Pada Rajo Abhishekam. If one is actually elevated to spiritual life, and he takes the opportunity of touching the lotus feet, then he becomes devotee. This is the process. So Prabhupada is making very clear that we also need to become pure. If we become pure, then we also act as representatives of Srila Prabhupada, that when we are able to engage others in the service of Srila Prabhupada, they also get the benefit. This is the system. So when devotees come to the temple, it is extremely important to appreciate this point of that they're coming to the temple to serve or to be engaged in the service of Srila Prabhupada. And when anyone comes to the temple, we have to acknowledge them. We have to connect with them. They're coming to Krishna's house, to their father's house, after billions and billions of lifetimes. They are coming back home. They don't know that. We know that. And therefore, we should not let them leave without connecting them back to the Supreme Father. we see sometimes, visitors, guests may come to the temple and there may be nobody to receive them, or they don't get any prasad, which Srila Prabhupada said, anyone comes must get prasad. Srila Prabhupada's desire was that every day devotees cook for 20 guests, sabji, puris, and halwa. And when any guests come, they must get sabji, puris, and halwa as much as they want. They must eat, and if it's finished, they must cook again for 20 people, sabji, puris, and halwa, hot puris and halwa. And in the evening, whatever is left can be distributed. This was Prabhupada's standard. Why? Because they're coming to Krishna's house, and we should connect them through prasad, through service. So Jayananda Prabhu was expert. His heart completely unmotivated, simply to please Srila Prabhupada, to please the Supreme Lord, Lord Jagannath. Jayaprakash Maharaj described how he came to Los Angeles, to San Francisco, 1970, to the temple. He saw this pamphlet and he actually came the night before the festival. And when he came, he saw people busy and nobody was interested in him. They were too busy preparing. Then another devotee sold him a set of Bhagavatams, but never spoke to him. He was also too busy to speak to him. But Jayananda Prabhu saw Maharaj, and immediately he came to him and said, "Oh, yeah, what's your name?" And Maharaj said, "Jay." And Jayananda said, "Oh, my name's also with a J." So immediately he said, "You know how to hold a nail?" And Maharaj said, "Yes, okay, hold this nail." So he held the nail, and Jayananda, banged the nail because he was building the chariot. And Jayananda said, "Oh, wow, you hold the nail perfectly. Excellent service, wonderful," glorified him. And he says, "You know how to hold a hammer?" And he said, "Yes." He says, "Okay, here's a line, here's the hammer." And he got him to now knock all the nails on the chariot. And when Jayananda saw, he said, "Oh, wow, perfectly, so spaced out, excellent." And then after serving like this, engaging Maharaj in his first service, he told him, "Here's the keys. You go into the temple, go to the left. You go into the temple, give directions. There's be a door there, you open it, don't tell anyone. You go inside, and there's a gift for you only." So Maharaj, as Jay, youngster, took the keys, went in, went to the office, and there on the table was a beautiful mango, and he relished eating the mango. In fact, he said the mango was tasty, but more tasty was in the way Jayananda selflessly gave that mango as a reward to him. So we can learn. In fact, that night, Maharaj told Jayananda to shave him up. And in fact, next morning he was shaved up, and eventually met Srila Prabhupada, got initiated. So here we see, we can learn from Jayananda's example, how he was able to immediately engage everyone that would come to the temple, connect with them, befriend them. Prabhupada said 90% of preaching means simply make friendship, not giving people the philosophy. It's about befriending them, connecting them, welcoming them, giving them prasad. This is Mahat Seva. This is how transformation can happen. Then we see in the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad, he was born in a demonic family. So how was he born in a demonic family? It is ascribed that Hiranyakashipu was resting, sleeping, and in the garden, all of a sudden there was a bird making some noise. So immediately he got up, went out, or opened the window and saw there was a bird there chanting Vishnu, 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 Vishnu. And Hiranyakashipu got upset. What's this bird saying? Vishnu, 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 Vishnu. And then he closed the window, came, and that night he planted seed into his wife's womb. So he did that was his Garbhadan Samskar. He chanted the names of Krishna. He didn't have to chant 64 rounds, but he chanted Vishnu, 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 and that's how Prahlad was a pure devotee born to him. So again, service, connecting through service, one can become a pure devotee. Text verses 24 to 28 is now we're going to cover the 14 stages of bhakti, which we covered in Canto 1, chapter 2, verses 16 to 20. These were the 14 stages. If you remember, the 14 stages are connected to the 9 different stages from Shraddha to Prem. Right? Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Shakti, Bhava, and Prem. And these 14 stages, Narad Muni is now going to go through these 14 stages in his life. We also are going through these 14 stages. Majority of the devotees are here, Anartha Nivritti. We, at this stage, Bhajana Kriya initiated and engaging in devotional service, trying to purify our anarthas. Text 24. He maya pektakila chapale ribakhe dante drita kridanake nuvartini chakrur kripam yadyapi tulya darshana shushrushamane munayo lapabashini. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty and did not speak more than required. So the first point to appreciate here is that these Vedantas, they were impartial. They didn't give mercy to the maidservant's son, Narada, because he had these traits, these glorious traits. No, they were impartial. Kripaya, Tulya Darshan, they were impartial. So as devotees, we also should not make distinction. Who should I give mercy? Who should I engage? Who should I not give engage? Who should I not engage? Who should I give prasad? Who should I not give prasad? We should give the mercy just like Srila Prabhupada causelessly gave everyone the mercy. We should causelessly give everyone the mercy. And they gave Narad Muni causelessly mercy. That mercy allowed him to, he embraced that mercy, and he also then got greater advantage from that mercy because of his characteristics. Dante, having controlled senses. Adrita Krida Danke, without being accustomed to sporting habits. Anuvartini, obedient. Alpabhashini, one who does not speak more than required. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, all the Vedas are searching after me. Lord Sri Chaitanya says that in the Vedas, the subject matter are only 3. Namely, to establish the relationship of the living entity with the personality of Godhead, perform the relative duties in devotional service, and thus achieve the ultimate goal back to God. As such, the Vedantavadis or followers of the Vedanta indicate the pure devotees of the personality of Godhead. Such Vedantavadis or the Bhakti Vedantas are impartial in distributing the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. To them, no one is enemy or friend. No one is educated or uneducated. No one is especially favorable and no one is unfavorable. The Bhakti Vedantas see that the people in general are wasting time in false sensuous things. Their business is to get the ignorant mass of people to re-establish they lost relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By such endeavor, even the most forgotten soul is roused up to the sense of spiritual life, and thus, being initiated by the Bhaktivedantas, the people in general gradually progress on the path of transcendental realization. So the Vedanta Vadis initiated the boy even before he became self-controlled and was detached from childish sporting, etc. But before initiation, he, the boy, became more and more advanced in discipline, which is very essential for one who wishes to make progress in the line. In the system of Varnashram Dharma, which is the beginning of actual life, small boys after 5 years of age are sent to become brahmacharis at the Guru's ashram, where these things are systematically taught to boys, be they king's son or sons of ordinary citizen. Training was compulsory, not only to create good citizens of the state, but also to prepare the boy's future life for spiritual realization. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of the followers of the Varnashram system. The boy was even injected with spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. Both the father and the mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from the material bondage. That is the process of successful family planning. It is to beget children for complete perfection. Without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back. Got it. So very, very key qualities to have. At the same time, these qualities are amplified and solidified by the parents right before conception, when they perform the Garbhanan Samskar, at least chanting 50 or 64 rounds. And in this way, practicing Krishna consciousness, bringing in a God-conscious soul, and then raising the child, like probably saying the child would go to a Guru's ashram, become a brahmachari, be practiced in celibacy, because that will solidify, that will help him in his future practice. This is the system that Prabhupada wanted to institute so that good citizens are born. We find that in Kali Yuga, because this is not there, then children even from a young age are so agitated. They don't have these qualities of being disciplined, being self-controlled. So in these verses, or this specific verse, we're covering Narad Muni's stages from Satam Kripa, getting the causeless mercy devotees. He's rendering service, Mahat Seva, Shraddha, and Guru Pada Shraya. So he's gone through 4 stages in this verse. They are giving him mercy, he's engaging in service, he's developing faith, and he's taking shelter. Prabhupada in a lecture, 1975, says too much talking unnecessarily is against spiritual advancement of life. So he was a boy, but he gave up all these things. Arbaka. Arbaka means not experienced very well, or almost foolish, ignorant. They're called Arbaka. So although he was a child, he was a boy, but by association of exalted devotees, he also became very sober. Sober. Shushrusha mane. Munayo alpa basini. And he was not talking very much. He too much talking unnecessarily is against spiritual advancement of life. Therefore, sometimes those who are very, very talkative, they are ordered by the spiritual master that you keep silence. Moni Baba. One time, there was an impersonalist Mayavadi. He was observing Mumvrat, vow of silence. So he came to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada said, very good for them to keep silence. Why? Because when they open their mouth, they'll say God is impersonal. God has no form. So rather than say that you keep quiet, you keep your mouth, you practice Mumvrat. Very good. For devotees, silence means speaking only about Krishna. That is silence. Special favor. Immediately after birth, he could become Narad Muni. Similarly, when Narad Muni in his previous birth was very sincere, very sincerely, obediently engage in service of the saintly persons, they, chakrun kripa, special mercy, unless there was special mercy, special favor, how immediately after that birth he could become Narad Muni, special favor. Everyone is engaged, but this is special favor. There are many instances like that, but that we should not take that this special favor is partiality. No, therefore this word is used, tulya darshana. So Narad Muni, even though Prabhupada is saying he's got special favor, but that special favor they did not give by making any distinction. He was, they gave it freely. Prabhupada would say that my mercy is freely available. Sometimes they would go to Srila Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, why have you been so merciful to one devotee and giving more mercy to that devotee? And Prabhupada would say, no, my mercy is equally given. It's just that that devotee knows how to grab. That devotee is greedy. He knows how to take more mercy. So the mercy is always available. It's our desire to grab as much as we desire. If we desire to grab more, it's available. Mercy is always available. And we don't need to be envious. Oh, that devotee got more mercy than me. No, there is no lack of mercy in the spiritual realm. Mercy is unlimited. Love is unlimited. Compassion is unlimited. Kindness is unlimited. There's no restriction. One can get as much as one desires. So the more we become disciplined, the more we become advanced. This is the only qualification that Narad Muni was disciplined. So much discipline that he's a small boy. Still, he would not talk anything nonsense. He was so disciplined. So the more we become disciplined, as it is stated in the Shastra, Utsa Daryat Nischat Tat Karma Pravartanat. These are the disciplines. The more we become advanced, and naturally we get the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna, then we observe these disciplines. The more we observe these disciplines, the more we make spiritual advancement. Prabhupada said, disciple means discipline. And discipline means we observe the instructions given to us by Srila Prabhupada, by the spiritual master, very diligently, very nicely. And in this case, for example, not talking nonsense. Whatever should come out from our mouth, according to Bhagavad Gita, should be pleasing, beneficial, truthful, not agitating, or scriptural referenced. This is austerity of speech. So even though Narad Muni was a small boy, still he was observing this. Uchista lepan anumodito dvijay sakritsma bhunje tad apastakil vishay evam pravrittasya visuddha chetasas tad dharma evatma ruchi prajayate. Once only, by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by so doing, all my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalists became attractive to me. So now Narad Muni is sharing how by the remnants, by the foodstuffs, which he took by permission, he ate that and became free from sins. So Prabhupada in the purport says, pure devotion is as much infectious in a good sense as infectious diseases. A pure devotee is cleared from all kinds of sins. The personality of Godhead is the purest entity. And unless one is equally pure from the infection of material qualities, one cannot become a pure devotee of the Lord. The Bhaktivedantas, as above mentioned, were pure devotees, and the devotee became infected with their qualities of purity by association and by eating once the remnants of foodstuff taken by them. So here we're going to hear the glories of remnants. the first point Prabhupada is making is that the Supreme Lord is pure, and for us to associate with the Supreme Lord and also be empowered by the Supreme Lord, we also have to be pure. And then whoever we come in contact with, they get the benefit of that pure environment, that purity. We see Srila Prabhupada, so many devotees, they share that as soon as they came amidst Srila Prabhupada, wherever Prabhupada was, the atmosphere was spiritually surcharged. They could sense the purity, the devotion, the love that Prabhupada had for Krishna. The atmosphere was completely different. We find even when the temple is managed nicely, when the deity worship is going on nicely, if the deity worship is going nicely, the atmosphere of the altar is amplified into the temple, and the temple then becomes also surcharged with that same purity and devotion. And anyone that comes into that environment, they will pick it up, they will sense that, yes, this is different, this is special. They'll experience that. Here, through eating of the remnants, the foodstuffs of the sages, Narad Muni became purified. Prabhupada continues, such remnants may be taken even without permission of the pure devotees. They are sometimes pseudo devotees, and one should be very much cautious about them. There are many things which hinder one from entering devotional service, but by the association of pure devotees, all these obstacles are removed. The neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee, which means attraction for the personality of Godhead, name, fame, qualities, pastimes, etc. Infection of the qualities of the pure devotees means to imbibe the taste of pure devotion always in the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. This transcendental taste at once makes all material things distasteful. Therefore, pure devotee is not at all attracted by material activities. After the elimination of all sins or obstacles in the path of devotional service, one can become attracted. One can become attracted. One can have steadiness. One can have perfect taste. One can have transcendental emotions. And at last, one can be situated on the plane of loving service of the Lord. All these stages develop by the association of pure devotees. And that is the purport of this stanza. So here Prabhupada is making the point that by associating with pure devotees and by taking the remnants, we become infected by their Krishna consciousness, by their purity, by their taste for hearing the glorious name, fame, pastimes of the Lord, and we then advance. At the same time, Prabhupada says we have to be careful of pseudo devotees. In a letter to Janardhan and also in a purport in the 4th canto, Srila Prabhupada says that a acharya or a pure liberated person, he is qualified to act as guru. One can accept a acharya or a liberated soul as a guru. But one can also, Prabhupada says, accept someone who's not liberated as a guru, if he's following strictly the principles of the disciplic succession. So if somebody is on that level, which means they're not perfect, but they may be strictly following, and therefore one is accepting that person as a guru, one should be careful that one does not assume that they are liberated, right? And this is one of the misconceptions, that if one gets a guru, then that guru is, God. He's non-different from God. He's Shakshadari. He's a pure liberated soul. No, he may or may not be. In Srila Prabhupada's case, we know Srila Prabhupada is a Mahabhagavad. In anybody else's case, we should be cautious and careful that we don't misunderstand or equate somebody who's strictly following but not liberated. Somebody who's strictly following, they have the opportunity to deviate if they are not attentive. And if they deviate and slip, then naturally we know that they were not on that liberated platform. So therefore, Prabhupada is saying we should be careful in terms of whose remnants we're taking. Sometimes, devotees also would just like steal or eat remnants. We should be very careful not to be familiar with just taking remnants or even dust from each other's feet, okay? Because we can transfer bad karma also like that, or we can take others' bad karma like that. We want to only take remnants from pure devotees. Prabhupada in a lecture says, so Narad Muni, he was a small boy. It was not possible for him to study Vedanta or philosophy. He was not even educated, but still, simply by eating the remnants of foodstuff left by the devotees, Vijay, he became so exalted. So he didn't understand philosophy. It was simply the remnants that he was taking. And just once he took the remnants, and that was sufficient. Ramanujacharya one day went to the river and he took some of his remnants and he threw his remnants in the river. And as soon as he threw his remnants in the river, the fish that ate his remnants immediately right in front of his disciples that were with him, the fish assumed their forms, Vaikuntha forms, and went back to the spiritual world. And the disciples were surprised. How is this possible? How did the fish, just by eating once, our Guru Maharaj's remnants get spiritual forms, and we eating every day and nothing's happening? And Ramanujacharya explained that they ate the remnants without making any distinction. When we eat, due to lack of faith and due to our interference of our intelligence on the remnants, then we blocked the effect of honoring or having that remnants. If you serve some way or other, you contaminate his quality. This explanation is given here that evam pravrittasya vishuddha cetasa. Because I was engaged in this service, gradually my heart became cleansed. Vishuddha cetasa. Cetasa means heart. Serve the devotees, a pure devotee. If you serve some way or other, you contaminate his qualities. This is what happens when you serve in any capacity. You take on the qualities of the pure devotee. Everyone can do tad dharma, sakrit bunje. One side is apastad kilbisha. Kilbisha means sinful reactions of life, to reduce the reactions of sinful life. So here Narad Muni is doing that. Mahiya sham padarajo bi shekam. Therefore, by eating remnants of foodstuffs left by them, by washing their dishes, by washing their feet, everyone can do. Therefore, this association is required. If one associates with devotee, pure devotee, and somehow or other gives service one another, to the spiritual master, to Vaishnavas, automatically he becomes purified, automatically, without study of Vedanta, without any, simply by sincere service to devotee. Evam pravrittasya. And then, and tad dharma eva evatma ruchi. And the saintly person or devotee, what is their business? The business is atma ruchi, taste for Krishna consciousness. Praja yate, automatically he will develop. So he'll become infected, just like if somebody's got an acute disease and you take the remnants or you too closely in their proximity, you get that disease. Similarly, if you take the remnants, the dust, etc., of pure devotees, then you get infected. You get infected by their disease. And what is their disease? Their disease is taste for Krishna consciousness. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, these it is described Bhakta Pada Duli or Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avesha, Tina Mahabhava. The dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, remnants of food left by a devotee, are three very powerful substances. So this is spiritual, very spiritually powerful and potent substances. And in this specific verse, Narad Muni has gone through stage 5, Bhajana Kriya, gone through Bhakti, Anartha, Pagamam. So Anartha has all disappeared. He's gone to Nishta and he's acquired taste, Ruchi, which they had. So he's gone through these 9 additional stages in this verse. In relation to remnants, Krishna Prasad, one time it was a disappearance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, and Prabhupada made urad dal khichdi, which is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj's favorite khichdi. And then they had a ceremony, and Prabhupada was upstairs, Prabhupada had prasad, and then they brought the remnants down, and the devotees were then being served after Prabhupada had. So it's described that, like in a prasadam hall, how the devotees are all sitting there and the buzz is going, they are chant, they are speaking. So in this way, they're glorifying some remnants. So they were sitting there chatting. They laid all the plates. They brought the prasad and the urad dal khichdi that Prabhupada cooked and personally offered to his Guru Maharaj was there, which is like now Maha Prasadam. And they started serving the devotees and the devotees started eating. It's described that as soon as the devotees started eating the remnants of this khichdi offered, cooked with devotion by Srila Prabhupada, offered with love and devotion to his Guru Maharaj, and then honored by Prabhupada, the devotees all kept quiet because the taste of the khichdi was out of this world. They were just contemplating on this taste and completely immersed in this most relishable khichdi that they ever tasted. The room was quiet. Nobody said a word. Everybody sat there eating one grain, relishing one grain at a time. After everyone ate everything from their plate, every single grain, nobody said anything. They all simultaneously crawled to the center of the pot. And from the pot, they all took with their own hands, one by one, started emptying the pot and eating the grains. We know in Vaishnava etiquette, you don't do that. But this was beyond Vaishnava etiquette. The experience that they were feeling was beyond Vaishnava etiquette, beyond any rules and regulations. They were experiencing that love directly from the spiritual world. The love that Srila Prabhupada had for his spiritual masters, love, this Krishna conscious bhakti. And everybody ate from the pot until there was not a single grain left in the pot. Then they all went back to their seat and they sat there for like 2 hours, not saying a word, simply relishing the khichdi. Some of them shared that Prabhupada gave them a glimpse into the spiritual world. So this is what happens when we get this mercy of eating remnants of the pure devotee of the Lord. Text 26. Tatranvaham Krishna Kata Praya Pragayatam Anugrahena Shrinavam Manohara Tashradaya Me Nupadam Vishrinvata Priyashravasanga Mama Bhavadruchi. O Vyasadeva, in that association and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna, and thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of God increase at every step. So now he is hearing, and here Narad Muni is saying, by their mercy, he wasn't qualified, but by their mercy, he got the opportunity to hear about the glories of Krishna and the activities of Krishna. And he listened attentively. It's one sign of advancement. And the taste for hearing was increasing step by step. So these verses we can use very clearly to see, am I also advancing in this way that I'm getting a taste to hear about the Lord? I'm giving up frivolous activities. I'm getting a distaste for other activities, etc. I'm developing a taste to serve. Anugrahana, by causeless mercy. Lord Shri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is attractive not only in his personal feature, but also in his transcendental activities. It is so because the absolute is absolute by his name, fame, form, pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, etc. The Lord descends on this material world out of his causeless mercy and displays his various transcendental pastimes as a human being, so that human beings attracted towards him become able to go back to Godhead. Men are naturally apt to hear histories and narrations of various personalities performing mundane activities without knowing that by such association one simply wastes valuable time and also becomes addicted to the three qualities of mundane nature. So listening to any other histories is really coming in contact with the modes of material nature and therefore binding. Instead of wasting time, one can get spiritual success by turning his attention to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. By hearing the narration of the pastimes of the Lord, one contacts directly the personality of Godhead. And as explained before, by hearing the personality of Godhead from within, all accumulated sins of the mundane creature are cleared. Thus, being cleared of all sins, a hearer gradually becomes liberated from mundane association, becomes attracted to the feature of the Lord. Narad Muni has just explained this by his personal experience. The whole idea is that simply by hearing about the Lord's pastimes, one can become one of the associates of the Lord. Narad Muni has eternal life, unlimited knowledge, and unfathomed bliss, and he can travel all over the material and spiritual worlds without restriction. One can attain to the highest perfection of life simply by attentive hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord from the right sources, as Sri Narad heard them from the pure devotees, the Bhaktivedantas, in his previous life. This process of hearing in the association of devotees is especially recommended in this age of quarrel, Kali. So again, the way Srila Prabhupada instituted Krishna consciousness in the temples was to give this opportunity to hear the glories of Krishna in the association of devotees. Very, very glorious activity. In this verse, Narad Muni now is gone from a Shakti to Rati. So now stage 11. Text 27. Tasmim stada labda rucher mahamate priya shravasya ka lita matir mama yayaham etat sad asad swamayaya pasye mai brahmani kalpitam pare. O great sage, as soon as I got a taste for the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings. Both the Lord and I are transcendental. Prabhupada in his purport says, ignorance in material existence is compared to darkness. And in all Vedic literatures, the personality of Godhead is compared to the sun. Wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. Hearing the Lord's pastimes is itself transcendental association with the Lord, because there is no difference between the Lord and his transcendental pastimes. So if we associate with the pastimes of the Lord, the glories of the Lord, it is not different than associating with the Lord. If we love the Lord, we will also love his pastimes and glorification. This is how we can measure, practically. If we do not love the glories of the Lord, if we don't have a taste for hearing and chanting the names of the Lord, then there's no question of being with the Lord and loving the Lord. Because if we are given the opportunity to love, or we're given the opportunity to be with the Lord manifests in front of us, like I gave that example. If the Lord manifests there, if we haven't developed a taste, then yes, we may see the Lord and we may hesitate to ask the Lord, can I get pure devotion? You may say, can I get the next iPhone? That is what will come out, because that's what the heart is inclined to. So therefore, we become purified first by hearing and chanting the names of the Lord. To become associated with the supreme light is to dissipate all ignorance. By ignorance only, the conditioned soul wrongly thinks that both he and the Lord are a product of material nature. But in fact, the personality of Godhead and the living beings are transcendental, and they have nothing to do with the material nature. When ignorance is removed and it is perfectly realized there is nothing existing without the personality of Godhead, then ignorance is removed. Since the gross and subtle bodies are emanations from the personality of Godhead, the knowledge of light permeates, the knowledge of lights permits one to engage both of them in the service of the Lord. So this is a very important aspect of being enlightened. When you are enlightened and when you understand that both matter and spirit comes from the Supreme Lord, then you will use both matter and spirit in the service of the Lord. And in relation to matter, both gross and subtle, which means both this gross body and subtle body is coming from the Supreme Lord. Creation is coming from the Supreme Lord. It's Krishna's energies, it's Krishna's elements. So if these are all Krishna's creations, the mind, the body, earth, water, fire, ether, then when you enlighten, you appreciate that it's all his energies, and therefore all his energies which are coming from him should be used for his glorification, for his service. And this is how, as devotees, we begin to appreciate that we should employ everything we got in the service of the Supreme Lord. The gross body should be engaged in acts of rendering service to the Lord, as in bringing water, cleansing the temple, making obeisances, etc. The path of Archana, worshipping the Lord in the temple, involves engaging one's gross body in the service of the Lord. Similarly, the subtle mind should be engaged in hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, thinking about the Lord, chanting his names, etc. So Prabhupada is very practically giving us the daily worship is there. Why? So that I can use this body completely in the service of the Lord. The glories of the Lord and chanting the holy name is there. Why? So that I can use my mind in hearing the transcendental glories of the Lord. The intelligent, that I can use my thinking intelligence in chanting. All such activities are transcendental. None of the gross or subtle senses should otherwise be engaged. Such realization of transcendental activity is made possible by many, many years of apprenticeship in devotional service, but simply attraction of love for the personality of Godhead, as it was developed in Narad Muni by hearing, is highly effective. So it'll take time. It's a gradual process, but the quicker we realize this, we shorten our apprenticeship in devotional service. And therefore, we should encourage each other to do this. This should be our service to each other, to try to remind ourselves, to try to lovingly encourage each other that this is the direction we all want to go. Engage the body and the mind in the service of Krishna. And it is also susukam kartam avyayam. It is blissfully performed. So it's not laborious, it's not dry, it's not hectic, it's not distasteful. Devotional service is wonderful, it's beautiful. And collectively, if we do that with association, it even becomes more and more powerful. As soon as you get some love, some attraction to Krishna, then that can become even more potent and more effective. Text 28. Itam sarat pravri shikav ritu hare vishrin vato me nu savam yasho malam sankirta yamanam munir bi mahat mabir bhakti pravrittatma rajas tamo phala paha. Thus, during the two seasons, the rainy season and the autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. So now Narad Muni has gone up to 11 rati, and in the next chapter, we're going to cover the next three stages, Prema, Darshanam, and Harer Madhurya Nubhava. So at this verse, he's talking about fondness, rati. Prabhupada writes, transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord is the natural inclination of every living being. The instinct is dormant in everyone, but due to association of material nature, the modes of passion and ignorance cover this from time immemorial. If by the grace of the Lord and the great souled devotees of the Lord, a living being becomes fortunate enough to associate with the unadulterated devotees of the Lord and gets a chance to hear the unadulterated glories of the Lord, certainly the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of a river. As a river flows on till she reaches the sea, similarly pure devotional service flows by the association of pure devotees till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. Such a flow of devotional service cannot stop. On the contrary, it increases more and more without limitation. The flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. These two qualities of nature are thus removed, and living being is liberated, being situated in its original position. So just by this powerful association and then servants to the Bhaktivedantas, having the remnants and hearing from them, constantly serving them, we will be caught up in this flow of transcendental devotional service. And this flow will take us closer and closer to pure love of Krishna. It's so powerful, Prabhupada says, that this flow is so potent that even an onlooker becomes liberated. This is the power. So we can understand how important all our centers are, how important the devotees engaging in Sankirtan Yajna, how important those activities are, and how they influence those who are looking. I remember in Hillbrow, when we had our 6-story building in Hillbrow from 1991 to 1995. So every morning, we would, after Bhagavatam class around 8:30, before breakfast, we would go out on Harinam. And then in the afternoon, around 4 o'clock, 4 to 4:30, we would go out on Harinam. So twice a day, we would go, every day, we would go out on Harinam in the streets of Hillbrow. It was very blissful. And we would go on Harinam, and naturally people, sometimes they would throw eggs at us, they throw water at us. So they would do these things. But there was one person who was living in one of the flats high up, And every time we would come past, he would be swearing the devotees. Now, he didn't come out to swear us, but he was swearing in the flats, in his apartment. Why these people can't they get a job? And he was upset and swearing. But what triggered him to say these things was the holy name was going into his ear. So we would go past and he would hear the kirtan and then he would get upset. And this would happen day in, day out. Until one day, it so happened that by constant hearing of the holy name, he didn't know that he was getting purified. And one day he came to the temple, to the restaurant, and became a devotee. He bought a book. Madri was that time running the restaurant. So he bought a book, started reading, chanting, and then he told us, you know what? I is a devotee, so now he's revealing his heart. Says, you know what? When you people were going up and down chanting, I was swearing. See, so as Prabhupada explains, the flow of devotional service so potent that even onlookers, he wasn't even looking at the Harinam party. He was just hearing the holy name, and it was having an impact to such a degree that he became a devotee. So this is the power. What to talk about serving a devotees, engage in the Sankirtan mission. It's extremely glorious and powerful. Then our last set of verses, 29 to 31, the sages bestow most confidential knowledge. Tasyaiva me nuraktasya prashritasya hatai nasha shraddhadanasya balasya dantaswanu charasya cha. I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses. I was strictly following them with body and mind. So Narad Muni developed attachment, great attachment to them. And his heart had strong faith. So this attachment and faith, very, very glorious level. And Prabhupada starts off the purport saying, these are the necessary qualification of a prospective candidate who can expect to be elevated to the position of pure, unadulterated devotee. And what are those qualities? Anurakta, attachment to the pure devotees. Prashrita, obedient. Hatai shana, freed from sins. Shraddhadana, faithful. Dantasya, subjugated or sense controlled. So these are necessary qualifications. Such a candidate must always seek the association of pure devotees. One should not be misled by a pseudo devotee. So here again, Prabhupada is warning us. There's always these two sides, and we should always guard against these pseudo devotees. He himself must be plain and gentle to receive the instructions of such a pure devotee. A pure devotee is a completely surrendered soul unto the personality of Godhead. He knows the personality of Godhead as the supreme proprietor and all others as his servitors. And by the association of pure devotees only, one can get rid of all sins accumulated by mundane association. A neophyte devotee must faithfully serve the pure devotee, and he should be very much obedient and strictly following the instructions. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. Now that last line, or in this purport, Prabhupada is giving his blessings. These are the signs of a devotee who is determined to achieve success even in the existing duration of life. Because we may not be born in a devotee family. We may have joined midway through. We may already have passed middle age and then we joined. Still, when we get this knowledge and we absorb and understand using our intelligence that yes, let me not waste time now. Let me surrender. Let me give my life. Let me engage my senses completely in the service of the Lord. Let me not waste any more time. Because sooner or later, you'll have to realize this, whether it takes you 1 billion lives, 1 trillion lives, or zillions of lives, you're going to have to realize this. You might as well realize it now and save yourself all the trouble that you're going to get by understanding this and completely engaging oneself in the service of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada in the lecture says, 1 year should be taken to study one another. We must be also qualified, and the Guru also qualified. Therefore, it is said in Hari Bhakti Vilas that 1 year should be taken to study one another, the Guru and the disciple. The Guru will also see whether the person is fit to become a disciple, and the disciple will also see whether this gentleman can become my Guru. Okay? So both needs to test. It's not just like they say, right, love at first sight, even though that may be there. But no, one needs to test. That's why Prabhupada even told Hari Sori, you stay with me 24 hours a day, because then you can see what I'm doing. And from there, one can appreciate, yes, once every moment is used in the service of Krishna. If you become disobedient to Guru, then your business is finished. Not disobedient, Guru Avigna. That is great offense. If you become disobedient to Guru, then your business is finished. These are the qualifications. Now remember, this also goes true, right, with every member of the society that's connected to Srila Prabhupada. If they disobey the order of Srila Prabhupada, if they go against the order of Srila Prabhupada, then business is finished. So every member needs to abide by Srila Prabhupada's instructions. These are the qualifications. Me anuraktasya prashritasya and hatai nasa. Hata enasha means all my sinful activities stopped. Nobody can become the bona fide Guru or Krishna unless he is freed from sinful life. Therefore, we have to accept this principle. No illicit sex, no gambling, no, I mean to say intoxication, no meat eating. If you follow these 4 principles, then you become Hata enasha. Hata enasha. Your sinful life stopped. So this is the foundation, the basis. From this, we start to grow. So no illicit sex life means not associating with the other opposite gender against religious principles. And even within marriage, there are certain principles that Prabhupada and scriptures authorizes what is illicit and not. In fact, you could even take it further, even though there are regulations in terms of marriage to make a relationship licit, licit. And still, it's explained that since everything and every person belongs to Krishna, then slowly as you advance, you will not even exploit the opposite gender, because then you will see that person as a servant of Krishna and never exploit. Then no gambling, no intoxication, and no meat eating. If you follow these principles, then sinless. Then Prabhupada says, Shraddha Dana means faith and obedience, not that blindly. Shraddha Danasya, Balasya. And although he was a boy, but he got this qualification, Balasya Danta, silent, no more playing. Anucharasya. Anuchara means following. These are the qualifications. If you become qualified with these qualities, what is that? Anurakta means attached, obedient, no sinful activities, and faithful. and not disturbing Danta, the followers and follower. And if the Guru is Mahatma, and if you are qualified with these qualifications, then the result will be there immediately. So both need to be qualified. Just like Prabhupada says, for a child, both male and female needs to be qualified. Otherwise, no child. So both Guru and disciple needs to be qualified. And in this way, we can be benefited immediately. Text study. Jnanam guyatmam yattat shakshad bhagavato ditam anvachan gamishyantam kripaya dinavatsalam. As they were leaving, those Bhaktivedantas who were very kind to poor-hearted souls instructed me that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of Godhead himself. Purport. A pure Vedantas or Bhaktivedanta instructs followers exactly according to the instructions of the Lord himself. Personality of Godhead, both in the Bhagavad Gita and in all the other scriptures, has definitely instructed men to follow the Lord only. The Lord is the creator, maintainer, annihilator of everything. The whole manifested creation is existing by his will. And by his will, when the whole show is finished, he will remain in his eternal abode with all his paraphernalia. Before the creation, he was there in the eternal abode, and after the annihilation, he will continue to remain. He is not therefore one of the created beings. He is transcendental. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that long before the instructions was imparted to Arjuna, the same was instructed to the Son of God. And in the course of time, the same instruction, being wrongly handled and being broken, was again instructed to Arjuna because he was his perfect devotee and friend. Therefore, the instructions of the Lord can be understood by devotees only and no one else. The impersonalists have no idea of the transcendental form of the Lord, cannot understand this most confidential message of the Lord. The expression most confidential is significant here because knowledge of devotional service is far, far above the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Jnana means ordinary knowledge or any branch of knowledge. This knowledge develops up to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. And above this, when it is partially mixed with devotion, such knowledge develops to knowledge of Paramatma or all-pervading personality, all-pervading Godhead. This is more confidential, but when such knowledge is turned into pure devotional service and the confidential part of transcendental knowledge is attained, it is called the most confidential knowledge. This most confidential knowledge was imparted by the Lord to Brahma, Arjuna, Uddhava, etc. And this knowledge was imparted by the Bhaktivedantas to Narada Muni. Srila Jiva Goswami says that the Bhaktivedantas, they imparted the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam to Narada. So they gave him the essence of the Bhagavatam. And this was the most confidential knowledge. And here we are, being exposed to that most confidential knowledge that allowed Narada Muni to achieve the highest perfection of life. We are given that by Srila Prabhupada's causeless mercy. Prabhupada, on this verse, 1974, Prabhupada says, a guru's business is to deliver the message as Krishna said. Here, the saintly persons, the Mahatmas, Gamshiyanta, when they were going, they confidentially said what was spoken by Krishna directly. This is the secret of success. Try to understand. Anva vacham kamishyanta kripaya dina vatsala. Guru or Mahatma, they are very merciful. Merciful in this way that they know how a person can be elevated to the topmost platform of knowledge and they can give. And this is not very difficult. He said here that yattat shakshat bhagavato ditam. This is mercifulness. A guru's business is to deliver the same message as Krishna said. Then he's Dinavatsala. Otherwise, if he says something else, he's a cheater. He's not Guru. He must be to the suffering humanity, being kind upon them. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam. This is Guru's business. Do not manufacture anything. There is no need for manufacturing anything. Simply, you speak to the suffering humanity Same thing which Krishna says, Chakshat Bhagavatam Uditam. This is the business of Guru. It is clearly said. So we cannot concoct, we cannot adulterate, we cannot temper. Simply repeat what Krishna says. And Prabhupada did this perfectly. Prabhupada simply repeated what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada would often, even when Prabhupada would quote verses where Krishna says they are fools and rascals, Prabhupada says, I'm not saying it, Krishna says Muda. So I'm just repeating. This is how Prabhupada would always say, Krishna is saying it. Then Prabhupada makes a very wonderful point in his lecture. So Dina Vatsala, sadhus, they should be very much compassionate to the suffering humanity and give them the message which is spoken directly by Krishna, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Ekam. This is the mission of Krishna consciousness. So this is the mission. We heard how Mother Yamuna had a dream that the whole world is now bowing down. Similarly, this is the mission to give every soul Krishna consciousness, to give them this knowledge. And those of us who are in contact with this knowledge, we have to try in whatever capacity, whatever way we can to touch other souls with this wonderful knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And last verse for today, or second last, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yanevaham Bhagavato Vasudeva Vedasham Mayanubhavam Avitam Yena Gachanti Tat Padam. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Shri Krishna, the creator, the maintainer, the annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. And Narad Muni personally met the Supreme Lord and attained perfection. By devotional service and by the most confidential knowledge, one can understand very easily how different energies of the Lord are working. One part of energy is manifesting material world, the other superior part of his energy is manifesting the spiritual world. And the via medium energy is manifesting the living entities who are serving either of the above mentioned energies. The living entities serving material energy are struggling hard for existence and happiness, which is presented to them as illusion. But those in a spiritual energy are placed under the direct service of the Lord in eternal life, complete knowledge and perpetual bliss. The Lord desires, as he has directly said in Bhagavad Gita, that all conditioned souls rotting in the kingdom of the material energy come back to him by giving up all the engagement in the material world. This is the most confidential part of knowledge, but this can be understood only by the pure devotees, and only such devotees enter the kingdom of God to see him personally and serve him personally. A concrete example is Narad himself, who attained the stage of eternal knowledge and eternal bliss, and the ways and means are open to all, provided one agrees to follow in the footsteps of Sri Narad Muni. According to Shruti, the Supreme Lord has unlimited energies without effort by him, and these are described under three principal headings as above mentioned. So the ways and means are open to all, provided we follow in the footsteps of Narad Muni. And Srila Prabhupada laid the process of Krishna consciousness so wonderfully, so systematically, that simply by following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we can revive our Krishna consciousness. Pantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gopramanande. Are there any questions or comments? Anyone has? So that's verses 32 to 40, which we're going to cover next week, not 33. All right. Bafana Prabhu had said, Jayananda was always ready to do whatever was necessary to push on Krishna consciousness. Yes, he was an amazing soul. Glorious. There's actually a recording of his class on our channel also, on his beautiful pastimes. Shama says, thank you very much for sharing the most valuable knowledge to us. Much appreciated. Thank you. It's my great pleasure to serve the devotees and purify my own life by speaking about Krishna and the Bhagavatam. Amavati Radhika says, how does one develop more attachment to Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual master? Through service, by serving them more, serving the instructions, we become closer to them. By following the instructions, we please them more and we become closer to them. So more and more we should try to mind, body and words each day, each hour, each minute, each second. Sometimes we may, one day be enlivened to serve, the next day not so enlivened to serve. 1 year we may be in action, the next year we may be out of action. So we may go like a seesaw like that, right? And we may go seesaw every minute. So the goal is to steadily try and increase that. Consistently try to remember and serve them. Madhula says, thank you for Krishna Katha, very, very liberating class, just like Narad Muni's life. By hearing about these pastimes of these great devotees, we get a glimpse of the process of Krishna consciousness. We get purified, we please the Supreme Lord, we please Narad Muni, we please Srila Prabhupada, we please the Acharyas. So much mercy, so much blessings come. Okay. Shamananda says, thanks Prabhu for the lovely class every week. These pastimes about Narad Muni are really wonderful. Yes, thank you very much for giving us your association. Rasaras Prabhu says, can one go back to Godhead if he stops at the level of anartha nivritti without Krishna Prem? Unfortunately, no. You can only, so you may stop at anartha nivritti, and you may only be able to go back to the spiritual if you get kripa siddhi. Kripa siddhi means that at the time of death, you then complete the rest of the journey by Krishna's mercy. Kripa siddhi, but it's very rare. So there's nitya siddha, living entities that are eternally perfect. You can get perfection by sadhana siddha, practicing the sadhana like Narad Muni, and then you can get kripa siddhi, siddha, perfection by kripa, which means that you may not even practice completely, but you just get blessings. Okay, now the question is, okay, you come home, don't worry. It's like Putana. Putana got kripa siddhi. She didn't practice anything. She didn't even start. What about Nivriti? Putana didn't even start Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha. She didn't even come to that stage. Right? She never even began her spiritual life. In fact, she was on the other side of the scale. She was demonic. But Krishna said, okay, you want to breastfeed me? You're like, mother, okay, come. That's kripa siddhi. So ordinarily, no. It's like asking, can I complete my 4-year degree? Can I get a certificate of my 4-year degree if I only finished my 2nd year? Unfortunately not. No shortcuts. We have to go. But it's a beautiful journey. Krishna Devidasa says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm eager to learn more every time and try to share some important points with others. Yes, wonderful. And that we should do. The more we remember, so we can share the links. We can go on YouTube and click like, because then YouTube's algorithm can do the preaching also. So that's one way, engage them and let them get mercy. Then we can share with others what we learn. We can phone people. It's like we like to speak to people. So we can phone them. You know what I heard? Our Muni, he was a Gandharva. This is what he did. He went for Sankirtan. He went to the temple where they was chanting Hare Krishna Kirtan, and he went to go sing love songs. And he was chanting, he was thinking about the girls while in the Kirtan, and see what happened to him. So be careful. So like that, whatever we learn, we can share. That way, the more we repeat, we remember. Prabhupada said, if you repeat it 3 times, you'll remember. So very, very important. So thank you for doing that. Rasaj says, the conch shell blown by Arjuna was named Devadatta as Narad Muni's Veena. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Conch shell of Arjuna. Panchajanyam Devadatta. Ondram. Shankam. Meena says, thank you, Bhai, for the inspiring class. Thank you. Bafana says, is Narad Muni's narration to Vyasadeva an example of pure devotee and obedient of? Is Narad Muni's narration to Vyasadeva an example of pure devotee and obedient of qualified devotee? Where is the link, or what's the link from Vyasadeva's lamentation to meeting Narad Muni, the story of Narad Muni? So remember, Narad Muni told Vyasadeva that he should glorify Krishna. This is what he didn't do. Because that glorification of Krishna is powerful. How powerful? It impacted me. Because the Bhakti Vedantas came to my house. And by serving them, I got their mercy. I got attached to serving them. I got the remnants. But that association, what were they doing together? They allowed him to serve them, and while serving them, Narad Muni as a small child heard the glories of Krishna. And these glories of Krishna is what transformed Narad Muni. So he got the mercy, but the more important part of the mercy was the glorification of Krishna. When devotees come together, what do? They talk about Krishna, they glorify Krishna. And that is the link. At Vyasadeva, this is what happened to me. This is how I became Narad Muni, just by the glories of Krishna. Therefore, you need to give the glories of Krishna to everyone. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave the glories of Krishna to everyone. That is why Srila Bhakti Sinamad said, whenever you get money, print books. Why? Because the books, Ampriyat Mridanga, the books are glorifications going out. And people are coming in contact with the glorification. And when they come in contact with the glorification and Prabhupada, the Bhakti Vedantas and the glories of Krishna, perfect formula to spark their bhakti from that. So this is the link. Rasa Stalis, thank you for amazing class and so much learning. Again, I'm grateful for Srimad Bhagavatam lessons to apply in our daily lives. Yes. Chagana Priyat, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for this most transcendental class, relishing all the mercy. Wonderful, thank you. Madhachana Siri says, thank you for very enlivening class. Namavati Radhika says, wonderful class, so nice to hear about Narad Muni. Thank you both for explaining so nicely. We're grateful, thank you very much. Meena says, if one remembers Krishna at the time of death, is this Kripa Siddhi? That's also another point. What to talk about even remembering Krishna at the time of death? Even to know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna's mercy. To get Prabhupada is Krishna's mercy. To get the Bhagavatam is Krishna's mercy. To get the devotees association is Krishna's mercy. To chant the holy name is Krishna's mercy. To have your limbs, mind, body, words is Krishna's mercy. To be able to hold your bead bag is Krishna's mercy. To live is Krishna's mercy. To breathe is Krishna's mercy. So to remember Krishna at the time of death is no doubt Krishna's supreme mercy. And we can be grateful. Bhavana Prabhu says, I've learned today that in Krishna consciousness, eating is not just eating for eating. It is so crucial to see our remnants of great soul food purified Narada. Look how the devotee who ate food served by Srila Prabhupada gave them such stillness. So nothing is done for just doing. And it is not that there's no disposition, everything, all resources are there. Look at the inclination of human to hear stories of great personalities. Yes, that is why we say we don't eat Krishna Prasad. We honor. In fact, Srila Prabhupada always always honored Krishna Prasad alone, very attentively. He was conscious that Krishna is in front of me in the form of prasadam. Prasadam means mercy. So any form of mercy, like we have flower mercy. This is all Krishna. So the more you become Krishna conscious, the more we will become conscious of these different manifestations of Krishna. And we will honor them, we will respect them, we'll appreciate them, we will associate with them very conscientiously. So Krishna conscious will make us more conscious in this way. And the more we, because it's practice, next time we get prasad, we can honor, we can say a prayer, we can glorify. In fact, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj, when Jagannath Mahaprasad would come, he would offer obeisances to it. And the devotees, they would make a mistake. They would say, when a Mahaprasad would come, I like this, I don't like this, or this is my favorite, this is not my favorite. He didn't appreciate that because it's all prasad. Even if there's one grain, let's say there's nice kachoris and samosas and sweet rice, and during the festival, it's all gone. And all that's left is one bowl of white rice. And there's few grains even in there. You should be in ecstasy, because that one grain of white rice is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you can perfect your life even by taking that one grain. So even if you don't get a whole feast, it's okay. In fact, you should be happy that at least the devotees got the feast. And now, Krishna, you're giving me one grain. Thank you so much. And you eat that grain, you'll be in ecstasy. Even if you don't have any grains. I remember in Buddhism temple, when we joined there as congregation members, it was Janmashtami, and we love to serve. So we fasted whole night till midnight. Then the devotees who was coordinating the service, he said, "Come, Prabhu, call me." He says, "We're going to serve cake." And a beautiful cake, trays, nice, big size. And I'm serving the cake. I fasted. I'm hungry. My stomach is crying for prasad. And I'm serving this cake. And I'm going one tray after another. And then, I'm thinking, I hope there's some cake for me. And I'm serving, I hope there's some cake for me. And I'm serving in a cake tray. And I know this tray is the last tray. And slowly, but I still have to serve. And then I served the last piece. And I was so blissful. In fact, I was full. And I realized, wow, just by serving, I got full. I didn't even eat the cake. This is how we can serve and honor prasadam. Madalash, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is Narad Muni a post like Srila Vyasadeva? No, Narad Muni is not a post. Narad Muni is a personality, like Srila Prabhupada is not a post. Srila Prabhupada is a personality. Narad Muni is a personality. Narad Muni is one of the sons of Brahma. So it's not like Vyasadeva is a post, or Indra is a post, or even Brahma is a post. Narad Muni is a personality, one of the sages. So Narad Muni is occupying a post of a sage, a Muni, and he is one of the sons of Brahma. Remembering Krishna at the time of death, does one go back to Godhead, or do you pass all the stages? Please clarify. So when you remember Krishna at the time of death, that remembrance of Krishna purifies you, especially at the time of death. So remember, these stages can happen instantly by the mercy of the Lord, or they can take some time according to one's determination. If one is able to remember the Supreme Lord, never mind at the time of death, even practicing daily, then automatically Krishna in the heart sees the sincerity and purifies, and we then go through the process. So it's not we who are going through the process in terms of mechanically trying to go one step to another. No, it is by our practice and sincerity of practice that Krishna takes us through the different processes, by him purifying our heart and bestowing his mercy in attachment, in steadiness, etc. Okay, bhakti is not our endeavor. We don't achieve it by our own endeavor. Yes, we practice, but it is bestowed. So even at the time of death, if we're able to focus and remember the time of death, pray to Krishna that, my Lord, please allow me to remember you. By that prayer, Krishna bestows his mercy, and when Krishna bestows his mercy, we can fly through our examination with flying colors. So we shouldn't really be too concerned about, how long it's going to take. Rather, we should be concerned about becoming serious at, at each moment of our life. Be present and try to practice Krishna consciousness at this moment. Be present, be focused, and be praying to Krishna to perfect our life. Because Krishna is Bhakta Vatsal. If he sees we sincere, he will do the needful. More than Krishna, Prabhupada will see your sincerity. And Prabhupada, he, just like in the purport, Prabhupada said, you'll be able to achieve even this life, you'll be able to go back to Godhead. If one, so many examples are there. Prabhupada gave the examples of devotees, even if they do book distribution for the rest of their life, they'll go back to Godhead. In so many ways, Prabhupada blessed us abundantly. So we simply have to try our best and leave the rest to Prabhupada and Krishna. Have no fear. Bafana, I would love not to be born again, but to follow the injunction gave by Srila Prabhupada in the last line of text 29, because the kind of service explained today is so deep and may not be found so common in modern age. Good point. And if you cannot find the example, then be the example. And if you desire to be the example, Prabhupada and Krishna would empower you and bless you. So that's the one point. There are examples. So in one case, I can say Prabhupada is the perfect example. Prabhupada's spiritual master is the perfect example. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a perfect example. The six Goswamis are perfect example. And there are many devotees in ISKCON that are perfect examples. I know so many devotees, they diligent in the sadhana. They have attachment to the holy name. They can glorify Krishna so wonderfully with quoting verses, speak so wonderfully. They serve the deity so wonderfully. They spread Krishna consciousness so wonderfully. So there's examples, right? But even if you, in your vicinity, if you don't find any examples, then desire to become the example. This way you become a blessing to everyone around you. Rasastali, I just saw a video today of how Srila Prabhupada honored Prasad alone. We'll tag you and Madhimaraja on Facebook with this post. Good. Amavati, should we have spiritual desires or just practice Krishna consciousness and have firm faith will give us the best result? No, we have to have spiritual desires. The spiritual desires are to please Guru and Krishna, to want to love Krishna, to want to serve Krishna with all our heart, mind, and soul. So those are spiritual desires. Spiritual desires is not it's not in the territory of Maya. It's not against pure devotional service. Spiritual desires means I want to desire what Guru and Krishna wants, what Srila Prabhupada wants. So all of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, those are spiritual desires. We should want them, we should desire them. Right? So they're not contradictory. I want to please Krishna more. I want to chant nicely. I want to serve nicely. I want to be, an example. I want to be part of Prabhupada's mission. That's spiritual desires. These are all conducive. You can remove the sense gratificatory. I don't want to be glorified. I want to glorify Krishna. Right? So move from the I to them. I want to please them. Then that's perfect. That's perfect spiritual desires. All right, wonderful. Thank you very much for all your questions. We will end here. And next week is the glorious appearance of Srimati Radharani. She is the mother of devotion. Prabhupada says she's very, very, very merciful. Krishna, he is strict. Sarva dharman paritaja, surrender, otherwise no mercy. That's why he's fasting till midday. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful till moonrise. Radharani, she's even more merciful, only midday. So pray to Srimati Radharani to bless us so that we can surrender ourselves completely in the service of Srila Prabhupada and perfect our lives and return to the eternal service of her lotus feet and the lotus feet of her beloved Krishna Shamsundar. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai, Nitai Gopramnande Hari Hari.